In the late 70s, there was a pop culture shift surrounding outer space and the prospects of space travel. The release of the original Star Wars in 1977 brought a newfound look at what could be out there in the far reaches of our universe. But even before that, books like War of the Worlds and the Moon Landing fueled the imaginations of many who dreamed of life in outer space. Since then, the setting has been used in countless movies and video games like Mass Effect and Dead Space. But it all began with the original Space Invaders released in 1978. The player controls the spaceship and the aliens continuously descended towards Earth faster and faster with each wave. The gameplay was addicting, and to this day it is a tried and true gaming formula with shoot-'em-up games still remaining relevant. Given the success, there were many game developers who attempted to improve upon the formula. Enter Galaxian, developed by Namco and published in the US by Midway Manufacturing in 1980. Before Pac-Man, Galaxian was Namco's first major hit and was one of Namco's best-selling arcade games in the US. The style was similar to Space Invaders, except with much more color, being among the first games to feature RGB color graphics, lending to its vibrant appearance. In Galaxian, the player is tasked to once again control a spaceship, but this time the key difference was that the enemies break formation and fly down toward the player's ship, something not seen in Space Invaders. This element was Namco trying to differentiate itself from Space Invaders, but overall the gameplay wasn't very much different from its predecessor. Going back to Galaxian and Space Invaders today, it was early arcade tech and video games were in their infancy. However, with the sequel, many would argue that Namco perfected the space shooter genre. They took everything great and addicting about Space Invaders, built upon it, created a game that would capture the hearts of gamers throughout generations. Today, we're going to be shining the spotlight on one of Namco's most famous arcade games, Galaga. Released in 1981, Galaga was developed and published by Namco and is widely considered to be one of the greatest arcade video games of all time. From the opening song to the final ship being destroyed, placing a quarter into this arcade game was never a waste. The concept of the game is that you must prevent Galaga forces from destroying the Earth by fighting them out in space. The ship glides smoothly across the bottom of the screen left and right as enemy fighters dive down towards you firing missiles. The biggest difference from this game and Galaxian is the speed. The enemy ships move faster, and the player is allowed to shoot faster at enemies, making this one of the very first button masher games. Also, rather than starting in their formation at the beginning of each wave, the ships fly in from the sides of the screen and park themselves up at the top, shooting missiles at you along the way. The way the ships move has always been one of my favorite aspects and makes it incredibly fun to learn their patterns and take them out quickly before they get into formation. The opening jingle of this game is so iconic to this day as well, similar to the Pac-Man jingle. The visual aspect of the game is awesome as well, featuring stars that continuously pass on the screen. The colors are all super vibrant on a CRT, which is still my favorite way to play this game due to the tight controls and overall arcade look and feel. In between waves of enemies, there's also an occasional bonus stage which serves as an opportunity to award accuracy of the player. If all enemy ships are destroyed in the bonus round, then they get bonus points, adding to the overall score on the leaderboards. I personally recall playing this game in several restaurants going up through the late 90s, early 2000s, and always remember seeing it as a Miss Pac-Man and Galaga arcade unit combined. I've always loved the artwork on the side. The color and the way the Galaga looks has always looked totally awesome to me. Namco really hit it out of the park with the ship design in this game. Another huge gameplay difference that affected the development of Galaga over Galaxian or Space Invaders was the addition of the Galaga enemy itself. These 4 ships appear at the top of each stage and were equipped with a tractor beam as opposed to missile projectiles. This meant that it could extend the tractor beam upon reaching the bottom of the stage and capture your ship, changing its color from white to red. If you still have another ship in stock, then you have a chance to shoot down the enemy Galaga and reclaim your spaceship, effectively doubling your shooting capability and firepower. This is an essential part of the game that the developers wanted to add during the initial creation of the game. However, technical challenges at the time forced them to tweak the pixel count on certain sprites to make it work. And I'm certainly glad they did, because the dual spaceship mechanic on Galaga is one of the best features in the game, bar none. It is a must-do for anyone shooting for a high score in this game, as many of the challenge stages even require 2 ships to fully complete. The entire process of your ship being captured also presents an interesting risk-reward aspect to the player. If you accidentally shoot your captured ship, you could essentially waste it entirely, and if you destroy the Galaga at the wrong time, the captured ship will fly down toward you and attack you, similar to as one of the enemies. The whole concept is truly one of the best features in the game, and I can remember back to when I first played Galaga, and my dad actually told me how to get the spaceship captured and then add it to your firepower. My mind was blown. Wave after wave, this game continues to delight and become more challenging after each stage. The enemies begin to fly faster, the missiles are launched at you in greater numbers, and eventually your last ship is destroyed. The points are tallied and even your accuracy is measured, which has always been one of my favorite aspects of the final score. Luckily, if you run out of quarters at the arcade, Galaga was popularly ported to the NES titled Galaga Demons of Death. This was practically a direct port with identical gameplay. Across the arcades and the NES port, Galaga was a smash success all around, with many gaming publications claiming it as one of the greatest of all time. Following Galaga, many sequels have been released, attempting to build upon the wild success of Galaga, the first of which is Gapless, released in 1984. The game was later changed to Galaga 3, representing the idea that between the two previous games, Namco considered them all part of an ongoing series. In this game, the enemy ships appear again from Galaga and Galaxian, but in addition, the game allowed the player to capture enemy ships as opposed to their own, increasing the firepower capabilities of the player to 4 or even 5 extra ships. I think this was an excellent follow-up to Galaga and only recently discovered it on the Namco collection released on Nintendo Switch, a collection of Namco ports to the Japanese Famicom. After Gapless, Namco released Galaga 88 to the arcades and TurboGrafx 16 console. Right off the bat, the visuals on this game are highly improved with changing backgrounds, new ship enemy types, and arguably better sound quality, including background music this time. Another cool aspect that always drew my attention immediately was that you could choose to start with either one spaceship or two, providing the player immediate better firepower if desired. After Galaga 88, the only other versions of Galaga I've played have been Galaga Arrangement on the PS2 Namco Museum and Galaga Legions on Xbox 360. Both are a ton of fun. Galaga Arrangement is a remastered version of the original Galaga, staying true to that gameplay style but adding some of its own things, like new enemy formations, backgrounds, and simultaneous two-player co-op. Galaga Legions, on the other hand, is a twin-stick shooter more in line with Geometry Wars or Robotron 2084. The visuals are extremely vibrant and there is so much happening on the screen for this game at any given moment, expressing just how far the series has come since its very first game, Galaxian. When it comes to arcade games, Galaga stands toe-to-toe with any other game, including Namco's other massively successful title, Pac-Man. The legacy of this game cannot be understated, as it essentially perfected the space shooter genre with gameplay that has stood the test of time. To this day, I still play Galaga on many consoles and devices, including all the Namco museums and even a plug-and-play arcade stick. Chances are, you've probably played Galaga and already love it. And if not, I highly recommend you check out Galaga on any of the plethora of platforms it's on currently. I promise you won't be disappointed. Thank you for watching the video. What is your favorite arcade game? Where did you first play Galaga? I'd love to know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe for more game spotlights each week, and I'll see you in the next video.